She's a border hawk now. I'm not kidding. Kamala Harris is now pro-border wall. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, ay. So, you want to talk about one of the most blatant, obvious pieces of political propaganda you are ever going to hear, ever going to witness in the history of American politics. It just happened. So here is exactly what took place, my friends. Axios, which is a left-wing publication very closely tied to the Democratic Party. They're sort of up there with Politico, the New York Times, the Washington Post. This is CNN. In terms of it's a major news site that many liberals and Democrats read faithfully. Well, Axios has two reporters who spoke to aides and advisors of Kamala Harris on anonymity. That's always the key now. See, I think we figured out their strategy. They will talk to aides on a Friday night, anonymously, nobody's named, and they will come out and say, oh, Kamala Harris has reversed her position. Oh, Kamala Harris has changed on this or on this issue or that issue. Yeah, maybe she believed that a month ago or 2 months ago, but she doesn't believe that anymore. Yeah, maybe she said that in 2019 or 2020 or even 2022 or 2023, but she doesn't believe it anymore. But Kamala Harris never says anything herself. So the media reports or claims that she's changed her position, but we haven't heard a single thing out of Kamala Harris's mouth. Well, this is now what they're doing regarding this piece from Axios. So Axios came out with this piece talking to what they claim are some of her top aides and advisors. And what do they now say? I swear to you, I'm not kidding. I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. Okay? God is my witness. Kamala Harris now is mimicking, copycatting the same position as Trump on the border. According now to this Axios piece, Kamala's advisors now say, no, she supports completing the border wall along the entire southern border. That she believes we need a border wall. She's now a border hawk. She now says that it's important for the national security of the United States to prevent this massive invasion. So I'm laughing. This is so outrageous. This massive invasion of illegal aliens and fentanyl and drugs and terrorists and the drug cartels from pouring in across our wide open, exposed, vulnerable southern border, that now she supports a border wall. Now, they're claiming that this is part of her support. If you remember that comprehensive immigration bill that died in the Senate earlier this year. So they're claiming, well, she supports that comprehensive immigration bill, and part of it included a border wall. In reality, it didn't include a border wall. All it really said was, well, we still have funds left over, and we can extend the timeline should we wish to use these government funds if we want to finish the border wall. So nowhere in that bill does it say complete the border wall. So in fact, her position is a lie. But the bigger point, this is the bigger point. What is now obvious is that the Kamala Harris team has come up with the strategy. And this is now their strategy. Use her aides and advisors, use this collaboration and alliance with the media to have anonymous aides claim that she's now mimicking or copycatting or stealing Trump's policies, whether it's on the border wall, whether it's on not taxing tips, whether it's on saving Social Security, because remember, she wants amnesty for every single illegal alien in this country, plus free health care, plus free college tuition, plus They're also eligible for Social Security. Well, as Trump has rightly pointed out, this is you give Social Security benefits to 30, 40 million illegals. You're going to bankrupt Social Security. But the fact of the matter is, she's now proclaiming and portraying herself as a border hawk. That she now believes in cutting taxes for the middle class. That she doesn't want taxes on tips. That she's going to save Social Security and Medicare. That she's now tough on crime. She's a prosecutor. That's what she did. She went after the cartels. And turned this into a personality contest with Trump. That's now their strategy. Flip-flop, but not really flip-flop, because it's not coming from her mouth. It's coming from these anonymous aides. So the media pushes story like this Axios piece coming out. Oh, she's changed on the border now. She's for the border wall. All of a sudden, yes, she agrees with Donald Trump. So position her as a centrist, position her in a sense almost as a Trump-light candidate, that she agrees with Trump on so many of these popular issues because they know the border wall, immigration security is very popular with voters. Being tough on crime, very popular with voters. No taxes on tips, very popular with voters. Tax cuts for the middle class and small businesses, very popular with voters. Saving Social Security, protecting Social Security, very popular with voters. So, copycat Trump's policies, but not coming from her, but coming from her aides, anonymously. And then turn this into a personality contest against Trump. So, Me Tooism. Oh, yeah, he's for the wall. Yeah, I'm for the wall. Yeah, of course. Oh, no taxes on tips? Yeah, me too. Yeah. Oh, tough on crime? Nobody tougher than me. Yeah, I agree. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Now, it's going to work with the Moonbats. It's going to work with liberals and these fanatical Democrats. Because, and this is what George Orwell realized about the left. And that's why he became very disillusioned with the left. Everything was about allegiance to the party. And that time it was the Communist Party. Today it's the Democrat Party. Everything is about towing the line for the party. So, the communists would do stuff like this all the time. They constantly flip-flopped. I mean, I'm talking complete 180-degree reversals. So, Hitler, evil, fascism is the enemy. No, we're allies now with Hitler and the fascists. Really? Okay, yeah, that's good. They're good. Yeah, good. No, they're the enemy again? Okay. Oh, no, they're allies again. Okay. Now, it's the same thing with the Democrats. I said this to Grace last night. I'm going to repeat it right now. If I open up the lib line and I ask the Bills in Sudbury and the Chris's in Gloucester and the Bens in North Andover and all these other crazy moonbats to call into the show and say, do you support now the completion of the border wall? Now that Kamala says, or her people say, that she's for it. Watch. All of a sudden, it's no longer racist. It's no longer xenophobic. No, it's no longer, this is not who we are. Listen to Kamala Harris in her own words. Now, if you believe that this woman is serious about securing the border, after what she's done for the last 3.5 years, overseeing the border and this intentional invasion of our country, and after everything she said about the wall over the last 3, 4, 5 years, then I'm telling you I've got swampland in Florida you may be interested in. Listen now to Kamala Harris. This may work with the crazy libs. This may work with the radical Democrats. But if you have half a brain, literally half a brain, you should see right through this, and I think most Americans will. This is Kamala in 2019. Roll cut 8, Mike.
We have a president of the United States who has created a fiction about a crisis at the border, and he has held up the United States government and its workers around his vanity project called a wall.
Okay, you don't like that one? This is her again. Roll cut 8A, Mike.
And folks, on the subject of transnational gangs, let's be perfectly clear. The president's medieval vanity project is not going to stop them.
Okay, you don't like that one. Here's Kamala again. Roll cut 8B, Mike.
Let me be very clear. I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances, and I do support border security, and if we want to talk about that, let's do that.
Okay, now I could go on. I could do 4 hours of clip after clip after clip in 2019, in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. Hell, just until a month ago, 2 months ago. Now, all of a sudden, she's pro-border wall. She wants to secure the border. She's a border hawk. Will the American public buy it? Do you buy it? Chameleon Kamala. Well, Comrade Kamala now. This is, I'm telling you, I got to be very careful because I don't want to say something that's going to get me fined. You know what I really want to say? BS, bull. You know what? This, I think, could be the biggest pile of, you know what, BS, bull crap, I think, in the history of American politics. Like, really, seriously. So, again, just because if people are tuning in now, Kamala Harris, again, this is only through her aides. It has not come out from her mouth. But through her aides, they have now leaked to Axios that she has flip-flopped completely on the border and that now she supports Trump's border wall and the completion of the border wall. And the front page of the New York Post, I urge everybody to go see it. It really hits the nail on the head. It has the picture of Kamala Harris wearing a red MAGA Trump hat. And it just says, Kamala for Trump. It says, you know, she flip-flops on Trump's border wall. And underneath it, it says she's trying to hide the fact that she's a liberal. And, you know, Sandy and I were just talking about this off air, and I think Sandy made a really, really good point. She said, Jeff, this is it reeks of arrogance and of condescension, that they think we're so stupid, and the American people are so stupid, that we won't know the position that she held, what is it, 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, when she was installed as the nominee over, you know, after they overthrew and toppled Joe Biden. And so that, you know, so now think about this. She was dead set against fracking. Years. Suddenly, no, it's okay. She's for fracking. Defund the police. Pro-criminal. Suddenly now, she's law and order. She supports the police. Abolish ICE. No, I never said abolish ICE. The same woman that invited this invasion opened up the border completely, now says she's a border hawk and she wants to, you know, build the border wall and complete it. This woman who never met a tax increase she didn't like, suddenly now she's a tax cutter. All of a sudden now, oh yeah, no taxes on tips. When she and Biden literally passed a law that ordered the IRS to crack down on people in the service industry, waiters, waitresses, bartenders, to hand over more of their tips to the IRS, to tax them more. I mean, they really think we're stupid, that we're going to fall for this. Now, what I find interesting, okay, and I'm going to ask all of you, please, if you could do me this favor. How many years now have we heard this? Oh, my God. If I had a buck for every time I heard I'm a racist because I support Trump's border wall, that the wall is racist, the wall is xenophobic. In fact, it's the symbol of white supremacy. Go now to every liberal family member you have, friend, colleague. very polite, very respectful. Say, hey, according to Axios and other media reports, Kamala Harris now supports the completion of Trump's border wall. Hey, are you for the wall now? That's it. Just ask that. Or ask your liberal friends or family members. So now that Kamala's for the wall, is it like it's no longer racist now? Is it okay now to support the wall? Like, do you support the wall? Watch. I'll bet you the best steak at the post-1917 steakhouse, and they have the best steaks, I'm telling you, in the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Okay, they got a phenomenal steakhouse post-1917. I'll bet you the best steak. Every single one of them will flip-flop just along with Kamala. Oh, yeah, well, it's part of border security. It's part of a comprehensive package. Yeah, we can do border security and amnesty for illegals, and we can do it all together. There's nothing wrong with the wall now. Suddenly, it's no longer racist. Listen now. I played the cuts of Kamala. I've got 15 more I could play of her. It's a vanity project. It's evil. It's racist. She will never support it, never vote for it under any circumstance. It's medieval. It's medieval. But listen now to this montage. This is Schumer. This is Pelosi. This is every leading Democrat up on Capitol Hill. This is what they've been calling Trump's border wall now for the last 8 to 9 years. Roll cut. Here's a short little montage. Roll cut 8C, a mic.
This racist wall at our southern border.
Quest for a racist and xenophobic wall.
That wall in itself is a racist reaction to a racist myth.
No matter how you feel about the wall, I think it's a moral abomination.
America cannot simply build walls. We look foolish to the rest of the world.
The medieval wall, which you can't see through, across the length of the southern border will not make us any safer.
We have to do something other than building a wall. It's immoral, expensive, ineffective, and not something that people do between countries.
A wall is an immoral symbol for our country.
I could have kept, again, all show. I could have just kept playing Democrat after Democrat and Kamala hundreds of times. Not dozens, hundreds of times. Now, not so much. Now, we got to win the election. Okay, let's copycat. Okay, it's popular, the wall. Okay, check. We're for that. Crime, tough on crime. Yeah, we're tough on crime now. Yeah, okay. Screw Black Lives Matter. Yeah, okay. Hey, let's cut taxes on tips. Yeah, no taxes. Hey, a tax cut for the middle class. What the hell? Throw that in there. They want to copycat everything Trump stands for and turn this into a personality contest. In other words, it's Kamala for Trump. This is incredible. This chameleon is morphing right in front of our eyes into Donald Trump. 6:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. So, all right, it's breaking everywhere. It broke, in fact, it broke yesterday afternoon, and now it's all over the world. So Kamala Harris, to be more technical, her aides, her advisors and her aides are now telling the establishment media that she now is a border hawk. And you're going to say, Jeff, what do you mean a border hawk? She now says she supports the completion of Trump's border wall. So this is from Earl on Messenger. Jeff, how about her vice president pick, Tim Walz, saying that, you should invest in ladder companies to help illegals climb over the wall? Are they not on the same page? You can't make this up, my friend. I hear you, Earl. I hear you. Well, she's copying now so many of Trump's policies. As what Sandy said to me off air was actually funny. She goes, what's next? She's going to pick J.D. Vance as her running mate. I'm telling you, I won't be surprised if suddenly it's, you know what, Tiananmen Tim, forget about him. Let me get the weirdo. JD, come on in. You're my VP pick. Okay, this is from Mark on Messenger. Jeff, unless all of this comes from Comrade Kamala's mouth and her mouth alone, I can't say this word on the air, I call bullcrap. And I'm not sure, but this is some type of plagiarism, you think? Or is it not? And if anybody believes this and can't see through this, then they need to have their freaking head examined. Yep, I agree. I mean, this is so blatant. This is not just an obvious flip-flop. This is such blatant disingenuousness. This is so disingenuous. This is so insincere. This is such an obvious lie and a cheap political ploy. All right, this is from Larry on Messenger. Jeff, she's evolved. And he puts evolved in quotes. Now, I hear you. Mark in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Jeff, my buddy, how are you, sir?
Mark, can you believe it? The border wall is no longer racist, Mark. Now Kamala supports the wall. What say you, Mark?
So, Jeff, this is what's going to happen, buddy. You ready? Over the next 5 weeks, there are going to be anonymous former Biden staffers who are going to reach out to the New York Slimes and the Washington Compost and, ABC and the Communist News Network, and they're going to talk about how Joe and Kamala would have regular arguments and fights about securing the border, and that it was, in fact, actually Kamala that was trying to push Joe to secure the border, Jeff, see? But there was nothing she could do because she was vice president. It was Joe that refused to move on closing down the border, even though Kamala fought with him daily, stressing how important it was to shut down that border, Jeff. And the news is going to run with this saying, see, she wanted the border closed. It was Joe who didn't want to close it.
I got to tell, I'm laughing because, the scenario you paint is, it's so outrageous, but it's so plausible that you're so right. I mean, and the media is just going to pretend like, yeah, the sheeple are stupid enough to buy this. Yeah. She was the lone border hawk in that administration. She fought him tooth and nail, buddy. Mark, I got to ask you, this is the $64,000 question. They're completely reinventing this woman. I mean, I've never seen anything like this, ever in American politics. Is the American voter going to buy this? Is this going to work? Or are people going to see through this and say, my God, this woman's such a fraud?
Part of the problem, Jeff, is that a lot of people live for the moment. They don't bother to go back and look and see what she's said in the past. And you can't count on the media to ever bring up anything that she has said or done in the past. So a lot of these people are only going to get what they're putting out for her now, and they're going to say, well, she says she's for closing down the border, so she must be. Why would she lie to us, Jeff? Why would the media lie to us? Oh, so wait a minute, you mean Trump is the racist? So Trump is the one who doesn't want to build a border wall? Hold on. Hang on a minute now. They're going to twist everything around, Jeff, and turn everything upside down, black as white, cats and dogs playing together. It's going to be the end of the world, Jeff, because they're going to make this into such a charade. And it's going to be just this nonstop barrage of just lie after lie after lie by the media to convince enough people that she genuinely wants to close that border down. But we all know as soon as, God forbid, as soon as she ever gets into office, that thing is going to swing wide open, Jeff.
Well, that's what she did. She was responsible for the border. You know this better than I do, Mark. And they unleashed the floodgates. And this is what I find remarkable. Look, honestly, Mark, I'm confident. I believe in the fundamental decency and common sense of the American people. I mean, look, there's a lot of idiots out there. Really, the Bills in Sudbury. So I know there are a lot of moonbats. I get it, but I don't believe they're a majority. I just don't. And so, I have confidence in the American people, 51% or whatever it is, that are going to see through this. But I mean, I don't know how you can, 3.5 years now, she's been in charge of the border, and they repealed Remain in Mexico, and they unleashed the floodgates, and you've got 15 million illegals that poured in, cheered on by Biden and Kamala Harris every step of the way. And then you've had this woman denouncing the border wall as racist relentlessly, and the entire Democrat Party relentlessly. And all of a sudden now they're going to turn on a dime and do a complete 180. And the sheeple are going to say, okay. Mark, if they win, I don't believe they will, but if they win, then we really have everything coming to us. I mean, then really I'm sorry, but this is a nation of idiots. I hear everything what you're saying, Mark. You're making excellent points as always. But I mean, really, if your memory is, a day old, that's all you can remember, then you're not fit to live in a free society. This is a woman who's responsible for the invasion. She's responsible for the border crisis. She's responsible for all of this crime and fentanyl and drugs, everything that's happened over the last 3.5 years. And she thinks now she can just send a few aides and flip-flop and tell the media, I've changed my position. And these zombies are going to say, okay. Then really, it's over. This experiment in freedom and liberty is over. Mark, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. This is from Ken on Messenger, and I think he makes an absolutely outstanding point. Jeff, if Comrade Kamala now says that she's all in on completing Trump's border wall, well, she should show the American people that she's serious about doing it by getting together with Joe Biden and beginning the process now. Prove to the people that you're serious. Start completing the wall now. But that won't happen, Jeff. Of course not. They're not going to complete that. Does anybody seriously believe they're going to complete the border wall? This is pure BS, lies, propaganda, whatever you want to call it. And by the way, this could be the mother of all flip-flops. I know politicians flip-flop when it's convenient. This one, I think it's the mother lode. I've never seen a flip-flop of this gigantic proportions. And the media is just like, oh yeah, but nothing to see here. Oh yeah, well no, she's changed her position on that. Next. No, she's reputed. No, that was last month. That's not this month. Mark in Connecticut. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Yes, good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
Hey, what they should do is immediately send people down to finish the wall while she's for it. Fine, you're for it, and have her try to stop it.
In other words, call her bluff, right?
Yeah. Abbott and, the Republicans send people down. Okay, we're finished. Excellent. You're for it. All right. Let's finish this wall.
Oh, I love that idea. Get the construction crews right now. Okay, well, she's for it. Everybody's for it. It's no longer racist. Let's go. Mark, great call. All right, let me ask you. Kamala now flip-flops on Trump's border wall. She says she's now for it all the way. Do you believe her? And will it work with the voters? 650 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, to quote the front page of today's New York Post, Kamala for Trump. So, Kamala Harris, Comrade Kamala, or I guess in this case, Chameleon Kamala, does the mother of all flip-flops, a complete 180. She now says she's a border hawk. She supports Trump's border wall. She wants it completed. She also says we have to get tough on border security, on crime, She wants to slash taxes for the middle working class. Obviously, no taxes on tips. She now says she's for fracking. She was against it. Now she's for it. I could run down. She's copying almost every single Trump policy and trying to turn this now into a race between personalities. Will this strategy work? Tony in Gloucester. Thanks for holding, Tony, and welcome.
I got a kick out of this because I have a neighbor. He's a great neighbor. Okay. Dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. All right. I don't even talk politics with him anymore because he's going to have a heart attack. You know, he refuses to read anything, refuses the truth. A couple of days ago, he came over and he saw my MAGA sign. And he actually said to me, "Oh, I believe in MAGA." I said, "Oh, you do?" "Yes." And I said, "So were you going to go for Trump now?" "No." And he went on to his normal tirade. So he doesn't believe in Trump. He literally hates the man, but he's saying now he believes in MAGA. So this isn't too far off about what's going on. But I got another quick one for you. I figured out how Kamala's going to get out of the debate. Okay? This is ABC is going to come out, and they're going to say, "We've spoken with our lawyers. And because Donald Trump is suing ABC and Steffi Stephanopoulos, we, in good conscience, legally cannot have the debate." And that'll push it off till the next Snickworth. But they need that time because she can't debate.
Interesting. Tony, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but she capitulated to Trump on all the debate terms. Trump held the line, his campaign held the line, and said a deal is a deal, an agreement is an agreement. We have it in writing, we have it under contract, and we're not going to move an inch. And so apparently, at least by, I'm just going by what I read yesterday in the media reports, they are now scheduled September 10th, ABC News, and the mic will be muted. She will not be allowed to have cheat notes or notes of any kind, index cards or whatever, and they will not be sitting down. They will have to stand. So it's going to be the exact same format that we saw with CNN. Now, I don't think she wants to debate Trump. I agree with you. And I wouldn't be shocked if ABC tried to pull a stunt to get her out of it, because I think he's going to crush her in that debate. And I agree with Victor Davis Hanson. Kamala Harris can lose this election in 10 minutes. Really, 10 minutes. It's not a figure of speech. In 10 minutes, she could lose this election. And she knows it, and her team knows it. And I don't know if you heard this as well. This broke yesterday. She's now agreed to do an interview, her first sit-down interview since she's become the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, tomorrow on This Is CNN. But here's the kicker. She won't do it alone. She's going to have Tim Walz chaperone her. Tiananmen Tim. Tiananmen Tim is going to be sitting down next to Comrade Kamala. So it's going to be a twofer. It's going to be a joint. Her first interview will be a joint interview. That's how insecure this woman is. She can't even do a sit-down interview by herself. She needs the old white guy to be beside her to help her with the answers and to deflect or distract from any questions that she may not be able to handle. So, Tony, let me ask you. She's flip-flopping on the border. She's flip-flopping on climate change. She's flip-flopping on fracking. She's flip-flopping on defunding the police. She's flip-flopping on abolishing ICE. She's flip-flopping on tax cuts for the middle class. She sounds and looks like she's starting to sound like Donald Trump more and more. And now she has to debate him without changing the rules. And now her first interview is with her vice presidential nominee. To me, this doesn't seem to me like a campaign and a candidate that has any kind of self-confidence whatsoever. Am I wrong?
And one day, maybe, we're going to find out who's been pulling all the strings for all these years. Because even Obama, he was polished, but he could read a teleprompter. I remember the time the teleprompter went out, and he was just a stuttering fool. when he went on, and they hate that. When you remember, he was gobbledygook. You know, he couldn't, but he's polished, and they put a lot of work into him. She just doesn't have it. You know, Biden was going, under. But the other thing I've noticed, Jeff, is we thought that Joe Biden was the biggest liar in the world. Waltz is coming up as competition because everything that comes out of his mouth about his past is a lie.
Oh, you're right. No, look, this is the mark of a pathological liar, is you keep lying even when you don't need to lie. Like, you just don't need to lie. But he can't help himself. He just lies and lies and lies and lies about everything. Everything. And to me, that's the mark of a sociopath. That's the mark of, something is not right with this man. It's pretty obvious. Tony, as always, thank you very much for that call. Larry in Leominster. Thanks for holding, Larry, and welcome.
Now, from Hollywood Pictures, it's Men in Black Part 6, Kamala's Quest, where they used a flashy thingy to try to convince everybody they didn't see the last 5 years.
Well, Larry, look, Democrats, I'm already getting the emails. They're saying she's evolving, Larry. That's their language. She's evolving. Larry, what say you?
She evolves, and if J.D. Vance changes his position on Trump, he's a flip-flopper.
Well, that's a very good point. Yeah, that's a very good point.
It's a clown show. And I'm tired of this argument that walls don't work. Look at the Great Wall of China. They built the Great Wall of China. You know what they don't have? They don't have Mexicans running around China. It works.
Well, Larry, this is, to me, look, I got to ask you this. I think, to me, this is the question. How does an entire party, how does Kamala Harris, how does every liberal and Democrat out there, for 8 years now, they have so demonized this border wall that it has paralyzed and polarized and split this country apart. If you believe in secure borders and a wall, you're a racist. You're a bigot, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist. They have repeated this ad nauseum, thousands and thousands of times. It has split families, split friendships. I mean, really, it's destroyed relationships. And now, after 8 years of telling us the wall equals Hitler, secure borders equals Nazism, all of a sudden now, to win the election, she's for the wall? And she's for secure borders? This is the most gigantic flip-flop, I'm telling you, since the Nazi-Soviet Pact of 1939, where the world was stunned, literally stunned. They're like, I thought you guys hated each other. I mean, you guys just fought a war in Spain against each other. You guys have been slaughtering each other all over the place. Now you guys are allies? You guys are friends? Like, what the hell just happened here? And Larry, remember what I said in my opening monologue? I said, you're not going to see one liberal criticize Kamala. Every single one of them is going to go in lockstep and say, oh, yeah, I'm for the border now. Yeah, oh, yeah, border security. Yeah, border walls. Now, walls work. We need walls. Walls are good. Larry, is this going to work with the American voter? Or are they going to see through this charade, this con, this obvious fraud that they're trying to perpetrate upon the American people?
Jeff, remember, we're the ones in a cult. We're a cult-like, right? So here's the thing, though. Let's go back to 2020 really quick. It was estimated through polling that 19% of people, 19% of schmucks, wouldn't have voted for Biden had they known about the laptop and that it was real, right? Do you remember that?
Yes.
They were able to perpetrate that because the laptop, no one actually saw it. No one actually heard what was in it. And they were able to counter it by saying, 51 intelligence officials had said this is Russia propaganda, blah, 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 blah. It's not going to work here because they have her on tape multiple times saying it's racist, it's this, it's that, Trump is evil, blah, 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 blah. That's why this isn't going to work. And another thing too is it still baffles me, but you're always going to have the same base of people that will vote Democrat no matter what, Republican no matter what. We agree with that. It's the grabbing the margin, the independence in the margin that is the key to any victory, right? It's not going to work on the independents like they think it is for two reasons. One, just like I said, they can see for themselves. They can look and see what she said.
I agree. No, Larry, I agree. Look, I think this is going to blow up in their face. I think they made a huge mistake. Mark my words, this is one of the biggest mistakes. This and her economic plan to impose price controls. And I've said it from the beginning. I said, watch, her numbers are going to start to fall. And the more people understand the consequences, the more the numbers are going to plummet. And you're already starting to see that happen. This is what I don't get, Larry. And I want to honestly ask the audience, not just you, Larry, the entire audience. If I said to you, not that Trump would ever do this, one of the things I admire about him is he's a man of convictions. He's a man of principle. He's a man of ideas, of beliefs. He's what they call a conviction politician. But just indulge me in this thought experiment. If Trump came out because it was politically convenient and said, guys, I'm against the border wall. I don't want secure borders. You know what? Open borders. Let them all come in. This is who we are. Diversity. Let them all come in. This is who we are. I would drop him in a heartbeat. I know you would drop him in a heartbeat. His support would completely collapse overnight. This is what I don't get about liberals. The wall is racist. The wall is evil. The wall is Hitler. The wall is fascism. And yet here, she now openly apparently embraces the wall. And they're like, Kamala, we love you. Do these liberals have any principles whatsoever? Do they have any self-respect whatsoever? Any integrity whatsoever? Or is it just blind loyalty to the party and power? What say you, Larry?
At first, you took the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to say it's power over principle. They don't care about the principle. They'll adjust their principles as long as they can maintain power or a sense of power. However, I want your audience to ponder this. Now, I'm not going to name any names, but you have some regular callers that I do respect. They're always like Debbie Downer. They're saying this, we're not going to win. Trump's never going to get back into office. They got the steel set. They're ready. If they were so dang confident that their policies and their way of doing things is going to get them into the office again and they're going to cheat their way in, why would they ever bother trying to copy everything Trump does?
That's a great point. That's a phenomenal point. And why are they so obsessed with trying to put him behind bars? I mean, I'm sure you know where the story yesterday. Jack Smith came out, reissued an indictment against Trump on narrower grounds because of the Supreme Court ruling about presidential immunity. But he still reissued a new set of indictments against Trump for allegedly subverting the election in 2020. So if they're so confident that they're going to steal this, A, why are they copying all of his policies? B, why are they still so desperate to put him behind bars? Larry, I think it's the opposite. I think they're very insecure. I think they realize they may not be able to steal it this time. They see how popular Trump is and how popular, like Tony and Gloucester said, even the Democrats now, I'm MAGA now. I'm voting for Kamala, but I'm MAGA. In other words, I'm for borders too. Yeah, no, I'm for I'm for a border wall too. I'm for law and order too. I'm for tax cuts on the middle class too. I'm for protecting Social Security too. Suddenly now, they're all MAGA, but Kamala's MAGA. They can't win on their radical leftist agenda, and they know it. Larry, as always, thank you very much for that call. Eddie in Chelsea. Thanks for holding, Eddie, and welcome.
Hello, Kuhner, the only man that President Trump says that he loves in an interview.
Eddie, thank you, my friend. What's on your mind, Eddie?
Well, I don't know if you ever saw that movie, Trading Places.
Yes, with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd.
That's right. I think Kamala is doing the big switch right now, and I'd like to see the time when Dan Aykroyd was waking up and saw Eddie Murphy. I was somebody waking up and grabbing Kamala the same way that Eddie Murphy was grabbed at the time when, and she started saying, "It was the Obama. It was the Obama."
Eddie, I've got to ask you, obviously it shows that they're very insecure. It shows they have no confidence in her and in her policies. And it shows that they realize how strong Trump is and how popular so many of his policies are in his agenda. Eddie, is this going to work? This total rebranding, repackaging, they're reinventing this person right in front of our eyes. It's like radical left wing, radical leftist, communist, Marxist, so to the left of Bernie in the Senate, to the left of Bernie, Eddie. And all of a sudden now, she's Trump in pantsuits. She's Trump with a cackle. If it's there was a meme out of her wearing like Trump's tie and, Trump's hair, but like long, the way she has like longer hair. So it's Trump's hairstyle with his tie. And, in other words, like it's Trump with, the MAGA hat and pantsuits and a cackle. Is this going to work? In other words, so choose my personality over Trump. Oh, you don't like Trump. You find him too vulgar, too insulting, too abrasive, too coarse. Well, hey, you'll get everything Trump stands for, except I do everything with a smile. She wants to turn this into a personality contest. Is it going to work, Eddie?
Well, the thing is, it doesn't have to work. The key that got them in power in 2020 was not that they earned votes. They made up votes. They know what they need to make up. So whatever the margin is what they know they need to make up in those key states, and that's why they're pushing against all the election integrity laws. They're pushing against disenrolling dead voters. They're pushing against disenrolling voters that are found to be illegal aliens. So that is the strategy. So it's not about winning. It's about getting enough of those ballots. Just like in 2020, what did Biden say when the big dispute was getting heated? Biden, when he finally came out 2 days after the election was supposedly in dispute, he said, count the ballots. Count the ballots. He didn't say count votes. He didn't say, make sure the election was done fairly and squarely. He said, count ballots. And ballots kept rolling in from suitcases, under desk. They came in from trucks out of nowhere. It came in from Zuckerberg boxes. All those things are what they know they have in place. So since they have all those things in place, they know they don't need to convince anybody of the truth, even though it's staring everybody in the face. They just need to make people believe they have a chance, and with the margins that they can push over with those fake ballots and count them as votes, they believe they can get ahead. And that's all it's about.
Eddie, drop the mic. Best audience in the business, Eddie. Phenomenal call. You absolutely hit the nail on the head. Eddie, please don't be a stranger. Call again, my friend. Andy in Milford. Thanks for holding, Andy, and welcome.
Hey, Jeffrey Kuhner, how are you doing?
Good, Andy. Very, very good. So, Andy, she's for the border wall now.
Well,
what say you, Andy?
You know, Jeff, and I'm actually old enough to have remembered this. It actually reminds me when Bush the elder was running for president and Dukakis was running against him. Keep in mind, in that particular election cycle, Dukakis came out of the DNC with a 15-point bump. And Dukakis actually tried to reinvent himself, presenting himself like, not being as radical as we all knew.
Yeah, a defense hawk. Remember that, Andy? He was a defense hawk. He was going to be tough on the Soviets. And then you had him with that tank, that famous ad that he cut with him riding the tank. And he looked so stupid in that tank. And people said, are you serious? Andy, I'm up against a heartbreak. Can you just hang on? We're going to come back to Andy. Andy says it didn't work for Dukakis. It won't work for Kamala. 720 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Before we go back to Andy in Milford, and I want to thank Andy for waiting patiently. A lot of you are texting and messaging the Kuhner man. You're making a brilliant point. How is Kamala now going to complete Trump's border wall? Because apparently that's what her aides are saying. They've already sold off all of the material that was left over. There was all of this construction material that was left over from the Trump administration. And rather than storing it, or as I said, putting it in storage or keeping it or using it and actually finishing the border wall, the Biden-Harris regime sold it all off. All of the equipment, all of the material, everything for pennies on the dollar. It's all been sold off. So what are you going to complete it with now? I mean, just to show you what a fraud this woman is. So, and now she's going to complete it? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I got a bridge in Brooklyn you may be interested in. Andy in Milford. Andy, you were making a really, really good point. We had to go to a hard break. Please pick up where you left off.
Okay, Jeff. So like I was saying before break, Dukakis clearly tried to reinvent himself, and he had a 15-point bump coming out of the DNC. And of course, Lee Atwater was the mastermind behind Bush the Elder's campaign. And I'm sure you can well remember, they mercilessly savaged Dukakis. Literally took a flamethrower to him. And we saw it at the time, those of us that are old enough to remember, the Willie Horton ads, the ads about raw sewage pouring into Boston Harbor at the time. That whole campaign, Bush the Elder just hammered Dukakis. And I'm paraphrasing because this seminal moment came, it had to do with foreign policy, if I'm remembering correctly. Because by that time in the campaign, Bush the Elder had just so mercilessly hammered like Dukakis' soft positions on foreign policy. But then Dukakis attempted a pivot to make himself appear to be like more agreeable to where Bush the Elder was at on foreign policy. And when that happened, Bush the Elder pounced, and he was on the stump, and I'm paraphrasing. He was saying, hey, lo and behold, now Dukakis is taking my position on foreign policy. So now Dukakis can have a debate with himself. Dukakis versus Dukakis. The old left versus the new left. And I think we may be coming to that same seminal moment in this campaign.
Oh, brilliant.
Where Kamala Harris can have a debate with herself. Kamala Harris versus Kamala Harris, only this time the neo-Marxists versus the JFK Democrats.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think you nailed it. I think this is, to me, that's what this is now coming to. Because you're right. I remember the 1988 campaign. And you remember that infamous ad of Dukakis on the tank. And he looked ridiculous, trying to make himself seem as a defense hawk. And you're right. Bush pounced. And he said, so, it's Dukakis versus Dukakis. He's flip-flopping. He's reversing himself. He's changing positions. He's twisting in the wind, trying to become a chameleon, which means he really doesn't believe in anything. He's an empty suit. And this is now what I think Trump is going to do. She's given him now the biggest opening ever. This border wall. Now, either they walk it back, which is going to be a huge humiliation for them, or she says, no, I'm for the border wall. And people are going to start laughing in her face. Either way now, they're in a real pickle. They've made a huge, huge mistake. Huge mistake. And you're right. All Trump now needs to do is cut ad after ad after ad and say, this is no longer me versus Kamala. This is Kamala versus Kamala. So who are you going to believe? The woman who espoused, open borders and unlimited illegal immigration into our country for years and years? Or this new unrecognizable Kamala that they just invented in the last 4 weeks to bamboozle you so you vote for her in November? And all he's got to do now is turn around and say, chameleon Kamala. She's a fraud. She's a liar. She's a con. She's got nothing. She stands for nothing. She is nothing. And I agree with you, Andy. He hammers her like that. This thing is over. Game, set, and match. I know they're going to try to steal. I think Eddie and Chelsea's completely right. They're going to try to manufacture ballots. They have to. But there's going to be a certain point where it's just not going to be plausible anymore. And look, it's 7:26 now. Not one liberal has called the show. Not one. Not one Democrat to say, no, I disagree with Kamala. I believe what I've been saying for the last 8 years, that walls are medieval, walls are racist, walls are fascist, walls are xenophobic, walls, we don't need walls. No one is calling in to denounce it. That shows you just how morally and intellectually bankrupt these liberals are. It's unbelievable. So the only thing, what I've come to conclude, the only thing a Democrat can't flip-flop on is abortion. That's it. They can flip-flop on anything else. It doesn't matter. But abortion, no. Your calls next. 7:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, you can also text us 70470, 70470. The text line, holy mackerel. It is in high gear. Lines are jammed. I'm going to go right back to the phone lines. This is from 917. Jeff, the Democrats know they can flip-flop on the issues with their voters because, one, they have the memory of a goldfish. Two, the Dems know their voters will blindly follow anything they tell them without question. In fact, the Dems, and this is very true, have been psychologically conditioning their voters for years and even decades. For example, just look at how arbitrary the rules of political correctness have been. The Dems can change those rules on a dime, year to year, and even week to week, often doing a complete 180-degree turnaround if it's politically advantageous to do so. And it seems to go completely unnoticed by their loyal base. So the real question is, will these disingenuous tactics work on all the undecided voters who don't necessarily have the leftist blinders on? I pray not. That is a great point. Have you noticed they said, no, don't use, remember like 50, 60, 70 years ago, we're referring to black Americans as colored, they're colored. No, that was then racist. So they said, call them Negroes. Okay, started to call them Negroes. Well, then, no, Negroes became racist. So then they said, call them blacks. Okay, but then no, blacks is racist. So then they said, call them African Americans. But now, no, that's politically incorrect. Now it's back to going black. So just call them blacks. They keep changing phraseology, words, how you describe people or groups. And, 917 is completely right. Often on a dime. On a dime. So what was considered acceptable a week ago becomes verboten a week later. And like a bunch of blind zombies, okay. And like I said, abortion is the only issue they can't flip-flop on. But other than that, hey, Kamala now is for according to her aides, Kamala now, she's for the border wall. Now walls aren't racist. Walls aren't evil. Walls aren't fascist. So what the hell have you put the country through then for the last 8.5 years? You literally have broken this country on the issue of border security and border wall. You have pit family member against family member, American against American. You have divided this country like we've never been divided before. And all of a sudden, it's all okay? Because she needs to say that to win the election? You phonies, you frauds, you. 617-266-6868. One more, last one from 508. Jeff, during the debate on September 10th, Trump needs to look at Kamala and ask, quote, so Kamala, what made you change your mind on the wall? What made you change your mind on taxing tips? What made you change your mind on fracking? If Trump starts asking her these questions, she is bound to screw up because Comrade Kamala won't be expecting questions from him. I think that's an excellent point. I think he's got to go after her and he's got to push her and expose her and unmask her and say you flipped and flopped and flipped and flopped and flipped and flopped. Why? And the answer is obvious. To lie to the American people in order to win the election. Rocco on the North Shore. Thanks for holding, Rocco, and welcome.
Jeff, I think she'll do anything and say anything. I think they'll build the wall, and then they'll fly them all in 747 in Airbuses around the clock. Jeff, the last time we spoke, you asked me to get you an impression of you. I've been working round the clock. I've been eating Big Macs, trying to channel the Kuhner man. I think I've got it.
All right, go ahead, Rocco. This is your moment, baby. Go ahead.
First, should we make Mondays Moonbat free? Agree? Disagree? We have a track from next caller is Camilla on the line. I'm sorry, Jeff. That's Kamala. Kamala, you've completely ruined and destroyed America. What's your plan to save it? What can you do now? I could answer that in one question, Jeff. Yellow school buses.
Rocco, I got to tell you, man, I think this is your best ever. Mike, please, I want to put that in the vault, my friend. We're going to play this over and over again. Rocco, you did my accent. You did my delivery to a T. To a T, my friend. Congratulations, Rocco. And please, buddy, don't be a stranger. You haven't called in a while. Call again. Thank you so much, Rocco. He does an excellent Kuhner man. By the way, the audience used to make fun of me more often before. They do my accent, my mannerisms, my figures of speech. You know, they stopped doing that the last couple of years. Anyway, I'm just commenting. Kelly in Newton. Thanks for holding, Kelly, and welcome.
Jeff.
Kelly, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. How are you?
Good, very good. Kelly, honestly, I think she's really blowing the election now. Just between you and me, I think this is whopper after whopper after whopper. And there's only so many mistakes you can make. And this one, she stepped in this one big. But that's me. What say you, Kelly?
Jeff, she didn't mean that she was for the border walls. She meant she was for coach walls.
So, Kelly, you think she's going to walk it back, right? You think when, at the debate, when Trump presses her and says, so what, you're for the border wall now? You're suddenly a border hawk like me? You think she's going to walk it back and say, that was my aides, that wasn't me?
Honestly, who knows what she's going to do? She's so fake. She flips. She flops. I have no clue. But I just hope that I work with a lot of Democrats. And I've never spoken up before. But guess what? This year, because I'm a teacher, I'm speaking up. I'm going to say stuff because it's just so blatant and so obvious. And people need to know, because I feel like, even though I work with teachers, I feel like there's so many uneducated voters.
Well, you know, Kelly, look, if you could do me a small favor, and again, you're not committed to doing this. I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want to get you fired. So if you think it's too professionally risky, please don't do it, okay? But I'd really love to know and get feedback from not just you, but audience members who can do it as well. In a nice way, in a very non-threatening way, not in a gloating way or, you know, what do you think now? Just a nice email to your Democrat colleague friends, okay, your Democrat colleagues at work, and say, hey, I'm just curious. Kamala now, and you can link to the Axios article. Kamala now has come out, and apparently her advisors say she wants to complete Trump's border wall. Just go, what do you think? I'd love to hear the reaction. Now, my prediction, Kelly, I think the very same Democrats who probably lectured you for year after year, day after day, how racist that wall is, and how racist Trump is, and how racist MAGA is going to turn around and say, oh, yeah, we're for the wall. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think you're going to, the conversion, the 180-degree reversal, Kelly, I think it's going to blow your mind.
We'll definitely report back to you, and we'll see what happens. I'm actually, I've taken notes just so that I can remember things, because I'm not as good as you are debating. Because I want to say it in a certain way that it comes off, like you said, very respectfully, very matter-of-factly, and I cannot wait to hear.
Yeah, just write the email to everybody. Write the email like, wow, like, whoa, look at this. You're surprised. And then HUH, question mark. Hey, what do you think about this? Question mark. Best wishes or sincerely or, whatever. In other words, geez, I don't know what to make of this. What do you make of this? And Kelly, I will bet you the best steak at the post-1917 steakhouse, all of the very same people that were calling Trump supporters and the wall racist and fascist and Hitler. Suddenly, it's not racist, it's not fascist, it's not Hitler. They're going to come back and say, it's border security. No, it's part of a comprehensive immigration plan. We need that wall, Kelly. You're gonna stand there, your jaw's going to be on the floor. You're going to be like, this is incredible. Really, this is like Madonna, coming out and saying she's for chastity. Yeah, the what? What? All right. How much time left, Mike? 5 seconds? That's it? Okay. More with your calls. Don't touch that dial. 749 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. So, by the way, Kamala Harris will be doing Comrade Kamala, or as many of you are now calling her today, Chameleon Kamala, is going to do her first interview tomorrow with Dana Bash. You want to talk about a state media propagandist. So Democrat Dana is going to be doing the interview with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. That's right. She can't do it by herself, Sandy. You nailed it. So apparently it's going to be a joint interview. She's too afraid to do it all by herself. So she needs Tim Walz to sit beside her, hold her hand, chaperone her. I mean, this is pathetic. This is really pathetic. And this is Eric on Messenger. Jeff, I'm wondering if Tiananmen Tim, if Walz will be standing next to Harris during the debate. Seems like she needs someone to hold her hand at every moment in case she stumbles. In comes Walz to cover for her. Well, if I were her, I would bring him to the debate. I mean, because she can't do it by herself. All right, just very, very quick, as many of you have been asking me all morning. Come on, Jeff. Can you play some of those clips again? Okay, very quick. So, apparently now through her aides, she's now been leaking to the media. She loves the border wall. She wants border security. She's a border hawk. She wants to complete that wall. Suddenly now walls work. Walls are good. This was Kamala just a few years ago. Roll cut 8. Mike.
We have a president of the United States who has created a fiction about a crisis at the border, and he has held up the United States government and its workers around his vanity project called a wall.
Okay, but there's more. This is her again. Roll cut 8. A, Mike.
And folks, on the subject of transnational gangs, let's be perfectly clear. The president's medieval vanity project is not going to stop them.
Okay. Then there's this. 8B. Mike.
Let me be very clear. I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances, and I do support border security. And if we want to talk about that, let's do that.
Well, yeah, that was then. Now, she loves that wall. She's going to vote for that wall. She's going to finish that wall. Okay. This is a quick montage. Really, I could do the whole show, just play these montages like for 4 hours. So I'm not going to do that. Here's a quick montage. AOC, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. I could go on and on. The who's who of the Democrat Party. This is what they've been saying about the wall for the last couple of years. Roll cut 8C, Mike.
This racist wall at our southern border.
Quest for a racist and xenophobic wall.
That wall in itself is a racist reaction to a racist myth.
No matter how you feel about the wall, you know, I think it's a moral abomination.
America cannot simply build walls. We look foolish to the rest of the world.
The medieval wall, which you can't see through, across the length of the southern border will not make us any safer.
We have to do something other than building a wall. It's immoral, expensive, ineffective, and not something that people do between countries.
A wall is an immoral symbol for our country.
I mean, I could go on and on and on. So they want us now to forget all of this and how they've demonized us and demonized Trump and demonized all of his supporters for supporting a wall, for just wanting to secure our borders and stop this invasion, this massive onslaught of illegal immigrants pouring in, illegal aliens flooding our country, overwhelming our country. And now all of a sudden, like this, snap of a finger, because they're they're poll testing, they're focus grouping, and they're saying, oh my God, the wall is really popular. And the fact that she's been a disaster as the borders are, this is killing us in the polls. Well, hey, she's now for the border wall. Yeah. And then the lemmings, the sheeple will believe it. I've never seen anything like this. Now, I'm telling you, this is going to blow up in her face. This is going to boomerang against her. People are going to look at her and say, this woman will say and do anything. Anything. She's like a political opportunist and a political mercenary. She will say and do anything in order to attain power. And she's for sale. And she's lying to us, and she's lying right to our faces. We know what she's done the last 3.5 years. Her record on the border is crystal clear. We know what she stood for her entire career. Her record is crystal clear. No one has been a bigger proponent of open borders, unlimited illegal immigration, and globalism than Commie Kamala. And now she wants us to believe she's the second coming of Donald Trump? She's now Trump in pantsuits? No. No. I know they think we're stupid, but we're not that stupid. UFO in Brockton. Thanks for holding, UFO, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. I have two comments, and they're both, to me, very important.
Yes.
I believe Kamala, she's obviously grabbing whatever vote she can grab by saying, yeah, she's putting a wall up. But she's not going to get rid of that wall, or she's going to keep building that wall if she, by chance, becomes president. And the reason being is she's done using the illegals. She doesn't need them anymore. She needs to get rid of them because they'll be in her way. And my second message, at least that's my opinion, is she will continue to build the wall even if she's elected because they're in her way now. She doesn't need these people anymore. She used them. My second message is a comment to any illegals that are listening to your show. You're much better off voting for Donald Trump because he will build a good, strong economy. We're going to maybe a third of you have services we need that aren't being met in the U.S. He will hire you and use you on these services. Anyway, that's my opinion, Jeff. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Interesting. Well, look, UFO, it's a very interesting point. I mean, a lot of people on the text line agree with you. They're saying, look, in a way, it's a bit of a stupid move for her, not just politically in terms of she's now completely exposed herself as an utter chameleon who has no core whatsoever, no philosophical, political, moral core whatsoever. Look, this is a woman who slept her way to the top. Let's call it as it is. And that's what she is. She will even prostitute herself if she has to climb the greasy pole of politics. And so what's lying to us now to our faces like this? You know, so it's all part and package of who she is. But she's also going to turn off some illegals. I think there's no question. I think there's no question. Many illegals are going to say, and we're going to vote for you. Why? Now, her ace in the hole when it comes to illegals, and this she has not backed away from. She has not backed away from it an inch. She wants to give full amnesty, i.e. citizenship, to over 30 million illegal aliens in our country, plus free health care, i.e. taxpayer-funded health care, plus free college tuition, plus free food stamps, plus every single welfare benefit you can imagine. Now, as Trump has rightly pointed out, this is not a conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat position. You take 30 million illegals and you start giving them access to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, free college tuition, you are literally going to bankrupt the United States. There's no getting around it. You're going to bankrupt Medicare. You're going to bankrupt Social Security. You're going to bankrupt Medicaid. So you're actually going to hurt the poorest, most vulnerable Americans in our country, all on behalf of the illegals. This is treason. The Democratic Party is now the party of Benedict Arnold. So she's playing games. You know, this woman doesn't care about the border and she doesn't care about this country. She's going to say and do anything to get elected. And look, the Democrats back her. The liberals back her. They will never criticize her or denounce her because they believe she's all that stands between Trump and the White House. So they don't care. She can say whatever she wants as long as it gets her elected in November. And the American people be damned. UFO, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look, I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm just really being brutally honest with everybody. Democrats and liberals, unless you're an RFK Jr. Democrat or a Tulsi Gabbard Democrat, those are the disaffected, disillusioned Democrats. Yes, they have principles, no question. That's why they're leaving the Democrat Party. Either they're not going to vote, or they're voting for Trump, or they're going to vote for the Green Party, or they're independent, or whatever. But if you're a Democrat now, with these gangsters and criminals in power, you have no principles. I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm just telling you the truth. This woman is a political whore. I'm sorry, Jeff, it's not an artful way to say, but it's true. The woman, if you want, she's a political opportunist, she's a political mercenary, she's a political prostitute, whatever you want to call her, I don't care. The woman sells out principle after principle as long as it's convenient for her. To the point that if you have any principles, look, if you're a genuine environmentalist, okay, and you hate fracking, why would you vote for her? Just to give you an example. If you're a BLM supporter and you really hate the police, well, why would you vote for her now? She just reversed herself completely. If you're a genuine proponent of open borders and massive unlimited immigration, legal and legal, why would you vote for her now? If you really believe that the wall is racist, why would you vote for her now? Here, to show you the kind of woman that she is. We know what they did to RFK Jr. He's laid it out. They harassed him. They threatened him. They intimidated him. They censored him. They kicked him off the ballot. They tried to block him from getting on the ballot. They persecuted him. He's openly saying the Democratic Party is no longer democratic. Okay, they dismiss him as a conspiracy theorist. Fine. Tulsi Gabbard says the exact same thing. Okay, she's now owned by the Russians. Okay, Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, came out and said the lawfare that they're using against RFK, they've used against us, the Green Party. By the way, there's a Green Party in Canada. There's a Green Party in Germany, in France, in Britain, in Italy, in countries all over the world. But in America, no, you can't have a Green Party. And they advocate the exact same thing in every country. And Jill Stein says it's the Democrats, not Trump and not the Republicans. They don't want us on the ballot in any state. They're deliberately blocking access for us to get on the ballot. This is clear lawfare and political discrimination and persecution. This is Jill Stein. Okay, she's an agent of Russia now. That's how they dismiss her. Fine. How do you deal with Cornel West? Here is a black civil rights leader, professor, academic. I don't care much for his politics, but that's what he is. He is a man of the left. He's very pro-Palestinian, very vocal in his black nationalism and in the need for affirmative action and more civil rights protections for blacks and minorities in our country. And he's running as an independent. So what's he now? Is he an agent of Russia? Is he a conspiracy theorist? Is he crazy? Should he be institutionalized? Because he's Ivy League. He's an Ivy League professor. He espouses what they espouse across the entire Ivy League. So we want to lock up everybody now in Harvard and Princeton and Columbia and Yale? Is that the new position of the Democratic Party? Listen to him. Saying, you want to know how crooked and corrupt these Democrats are? He goes, Trump never did this to me. But let me tell you what Kamala Harris and Joe Biden tried to do. Listen now to Cornel West. This is on a podcast. Roll cut 7. Mike.
What were, the offers that they made and your response?
Well, a number of them reached out just saying, I need to get on the bandwagon. This is a historic moment, especially a black moment. Have a black sister, Asian sister move to the head of an empire undergoing deep spiritual decay and moral decadence and deterioration. And I told them, I said, you all just talking to the wrong brother. You can offer resources, a position, or what have you. That's not what I'm all about. That's not the game I play. That's not my conception of what I'm here for, to bear witness and be a witness and try to hold on to some integrity and honesty. Because what has happened, brother, the toxicity in the party is so pervasive that we see the superficial glitz and the blitz, but at the center of it is just money, 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 status, status, status.
And I would add power, power, power. Now, again, I think he and I pretty much, disagree on almost every issue. But I'm going to give Cornel West his due. And I know I'm going to get a lot of blowback for this, but I'm just calling it the way I see it. The man's not for sale. I respect that. I disagree with him profoundly, but this is America, man. We have the right to agree to disagree. I know the Democrats don't believe that, because I'm going to get to Zuckerberg if I can later in the show. They believe clearly now in censorship. That there's no question now. Democrats do not, they're communists. The Democrat communists do not believe in freedom of speech, freedom of expression, or genuine tolerance. They don't. It's clear. That's beyond debate now. So they tried to buy him off. Cornel West says, Kamala Harris's people came to me and said, what do you want? What do you mean, what do I want? Well, you want a job in the administration? You want a lobbying gig? You want to make millions of dollars? Name me your price. Just drop out of the race. And the reason why they're worried about Cornel West in particular is that he's on the ballot in Michigan. They don't care about him in other states, but it's Michigan because he's running on a pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel platform explicitly. And he knows it's going to resonate with Muslim Americans in Michigan because it's the hotbed of Muslim Americans in the United States, and with Arab Americans. Now, 2-3% is what he's likely going to get. 2-3% is what's going to put Donald Trump over the top in Michigan. So buy him off. And as he put it, this brother is not for sale. Now, I'm telling you, it's very rare because most people would have taken the money. They would have taken the job, the cabinet position, the status, the money, the power, the prestige. Cornel West didn't. But these are the kinds of corrupt gangsters and criminals we're dealing with. This is RFK Jr.'s point. The old Democratic Party, that's gone. The party of labor, of the working class, of civil rights, of government accountability, of government transparency, of opposition to authoritarianism and colonialism and imperialism, of being the anti-war party. Those days are gone. And Kamala Harris, above everything else, yes, she's Comrade Kamala. Yes, she's Chameleon Kamala. But let me tell you what she really is. She's corporate Kamala. She is a creature of the oligarchy. And as RFK Jr., you got to see his interview with Tucker Carlson. It was riveting. He said, look, I tried to reach out to her, to some kind of a modus operandi, some kind of MO. Could you guys stop trying to harass and threaten me and my family? Could you stop this political persecution? Could you call off the attack dogs? Could you just let me run a campaign? He said he couldn't get a meeting with her. And the reason why he couldn't get a meeting with her is because her handlers wouldn't allow it. And who are her handlers? They're run by the most powerful oligarchs in the United States. He goes, she's a creature of the oligarchy. And now she sees big money. Let me tell you what Kamala Harris sees. That's why I'm telling you, she is going to be cramming and prepping day and night for the next 2 weeks for that debate. Because if she can get through that debate and they can steal that election on November 5th, let me tell you, forget being president of the United States. She's a puppet. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Maybe even billionaire status. Her and that philandering husband of hers, okay? The guy who likes to sleep with nannies. Okay, Doug Emhoff, who, by the way, now, according to the media, is now, I swear to you, America's sex symbol. Her husband is now, I'm telling you, America's sex symbol. You can't make this up. She's sexy, he's sexy, they're sexy. Okay, but let that go. She sees now unimaginable wealth. This loser, this tramp that started off sleeping with Willie Brown while he was married to his wife and sharing a bed with him and sleeping her way to the top in California politics. Suddenly, not only is she going to the White House, but she's going to become an oligarch herself. She can't believe it. She can't believe it. For her, this is everything. So this is why you want me to oppose fracking? I'll oppose fracking. You want me to support a border wall? I'll support a border wall. What do you want? No taxes on tips? Yeah. You want me to protect Social Security? Sure. You want me to be tough on crime? Yeah, I'm tough on crime. I'll be tax cuts. You know, they hated tax cuts. Oh, you want tax cuts? Give me tax cuts. What do you want? I'll do whatever I got to do. Because I'm staring now at wealth and power and status that I never thought was possible. Anthony in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Anthony, and welcome.
Jeff, you destroyed my college A-plus theses of Democrats only had one standard, and that's double standards. You've added one to the list, the abortion standard. What a disgrace. Anyways, Jeff, we got trouble in our party because, like on the back of my car, I put political messages, and on the back of it, it says right now, call me Kamala.
Oh, Anthony, hang on, please. I want to get to you. I'm up against a hard break. You know, Mike, I got to tell you, these breaks are killing me, man. I'm just saying, Mike. All right, Anthony, please hang on. I'm going to come right back to Anthony. Take all of your calls next. 8:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Anthony in New Hampshire. Let's pick up where we left off, Anthony. Sorry about the break. So you were saying, you know, if Democrats, you know, if they didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards, but now there's the abortion standard, and then we kind of got cut off there. So please pick up where you left off, Anthony.
Jeff, if I may, as a lifetime listener and caller of the show, I think it's very commendable what you do to the callers that sit on hold to patiently wait to talk on your show that get cut off by the break. I think that is so awesome of this show. I think it's the only show that does it. But anyways, I have political messages on the back of my car. And presently, it says that Kamala, call me Kamala, and Marxist Wall want to control everything except for their spending. Next up is you. So, you know, that I think that's like not very graphic, not very bad or anything. But this is where I kind of admire, but I don't admire the Democrats because they come together instantly, whereas Republicans don't. And I'm thankful for that because as a Trump supporter from after Carson was too nice, you know, from the first Trump rally he had in New Hampshire, I was a supporter. The party didn't want Trump. The Democrats got to remember that. Like, nobody in my party wanted this man, but yet I stood against my party and I voted for the man that I thought was good for the job. And guess what, people? I was right. So now I run into this gas station attendant, and he comes up to my car, and he's like, you know, I like your sticker. I have a Trump sticker, too. But, you know, this is just not right. And you know, what do you think about J.D. Vance? You know, he didn't work with Trump. Do you think he's going to work with them now? And I'm like, buddy, you know, you're the problem with this party. Like, I'm telling you, communism is knocking at our door, and you're coming at me with J.D. Vance. I said, where was your outrage with Kamala being able to work with Biden after he called him a racist? Now, this is a pump at BJ's, and if everybody listening, I said, as far as you're coming together, I've been called every name in the book by the left for the past 16 years. I'm so sick of hearing that this party needs to come together with the other side. I said, what am I supposed to come together with? They want to kill babies as they're coming out of the womb. They want to give $25,000 down payments to illegal aliens. They want to open the border. Name something to me that I'm supposed to get along with, people. There's nothing anymore. And I'm sick of having the kowtow to the party that's basically made me a domestic abuse partner, and I'm supposed to sit here while all his friends say, well, he's not that bad. He's really, when you go out together, we never see any of this. They're always so nice, but yet I come home and I'm getting punched in the face.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Anthony, you're absolutely right. You are completely right. Anthony, I'm just curious, what do you make now of this attempt to completely repackage and rebrand, really reinvent Comrade Kamala right in front of our eyes? Do you think it's going to work, Anthony? Will it succeed on Election Day in November?
Jeff, I pray to God every day that it doesn't. I mean, every day when I hear a Democrat that transfers over, it starts to bring a tear into my eye. They finally woke up. Do I think it's going to be enough to stop the illegals from stealing our election? I hope to God it is. But with people on our party that still questioning Trump's choices, you start to wonder and scratch your head and say, how can you not see what is knocking on our door? I don't care if Donald Trump picked Mickey Mouse. We're getting Donald Trump. That's who we need. I don't care about any of it, the rest of it. As long as Trump gets back, I know that stops them. And that should be our priority. Everybody that sees, listen, there's people that are scared of putting Trump signs up, that are scared of putting stickers on their car. I don't blame them. My car's been keyed several times. I want to start a movement, people. If you're one of those scared people and you're driving down the highway and you see somebody with Trump stickers on their car, start honking and cheer them on. Yay! And if you drive by somebody's house and they got those Trump signs on, start honking. Yay! Let the people, let the neighbors hear the noise, because that's how we can win.
Amen. Anthony, thank you very much for that call. Really well said. Kevin in Walpole, thanks for holding, Kevin, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Kevin?
I'm good. I call quite often, but just a quick one. I wonder how long before Chameleon Kamala says that she slept with Stormy Daniels. She's doing everything else that Trump's doing, so she might as well sleep with Stormy Daniels, or supposedly.
Kevin, this makeover they're trying to give her. Now she's Trump. She's basically a Trump Democrat. She's, she's Trump with a smile and a cackle. You think this is going to work, Kevin?
Jeff, it is not going to work. And I volunteer for the New Hampshire GOP, and the amount of Trump, I was just up in Winnipesaukee over the weekend, and we were having dinner at the Channel in the Weirs, and we see all these boats going by. Didn't know anything about a floating Trump parade. We see all these. Me and my girlfriend see all these boats going through the Channel, heading over to like the Paugus Bay area, and we're like, "What's going on here? What's going on?" And come to find out, there was a floating Trump parade going from Paugus Bay over into Winnipesaukee.
Oh, I hear you, Kevin. New Hampshire is Trump country. There's no question. And look, the Democrats, I believe, stole New Hampshire in 2020. I don't think they're going to steal it this time. I think New Hampshire is going to go Trump, and it's going to go Trump big. 8:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, a couple lines are open if you want to jump on. You can text us 70470. This is from 603. Jeff, Democrats don't give a crap about Kamala Harris. I am convinced the only reason they are voting for her is because of their hatred for Donald Trump. She is an empty vessel with nothing to offer. And still the Democrats will vote against Donald Trump. I blame the Democrats and the media. And I completely agree with you, 603. I think really, when it comes down to it, she can flip and flop and reverse herself and copycat every single Trump position and issue. They don't care as long as her name is not Donald Trump. I believe now that's the level of fanaticism, of hatred, of Trump derangement syndrome that the media and the Democrats have instilled among so many Democrats and liberals across this country. Really, it's frightening. It really is how irrational and obsessed, frankly, hateful they are. How hate-ridden they are, consumed with hatred they are for Trump. And I agree with you. Really, that's her big thing for her is simply that she's not Trump. That's it. That's it. Okay. This is, a lot of people have been messaging and emailing me saying, Jeff, could you at least just mention, so this is from David about what's just happened in California. Jeff, did you hear that California is about to give out home loans to illegals? Yes. The California State Senate, all of you, you need to hear this because this is the future under a Kamala regime. Should Comrade Kamala, if they put her over the top in November, okay, in other words, should they steal it in November, this is what we're going to have. Not only are all illegals going to get amnesty and free health care and free college tuition and Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, but listen to this. California State Senate just voted to provide illegal aliens up to $150,000 in home loans. 0 down payment, 0 interest. In California. Now, it's going to go to Gavin Newsom's desk. We'll see if he signs it. It looks like he will. We shall see. But this is the California model that they want to impose on the entire country. So, illegals in California now, you can get up to $150,000 taxpayer money for a first-time home buyer to buy their home, no down payment, you don't got to put a penny down, no interest. Now, you tell me, what American citizen gets that? What veteran gets that? So you do, I don't know, how many tours in Afghanistan? How many tours in Iraq? And you come back and you want to buy a first-time home? To the vets, do you get 0 interest, 0 down? And the government gives you $150,000 and says, here it is. Hey, here it is. Let's help pay off your first home. Illegals are given more priority and better preferential special treatment over our very own citizens. Blank you. That's the Kamala Biden Democrat way. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. One more, and then I'm going to go right back to the phone lines. Okay, Jeff, and this is a really good point. Jeff, can you believe, this is from Larry on Messenger, can you believe that radical leftist Cornel West has principles and can't be bought and paid for, but Bernie Sanders, who rails against quote-unquote millionaires and billionaires, was happy to sell out for money? Bingo. Bernie sold out. They offered Bernie, and they made Bernie an offer he couldn't refuse. And so he accepted having the primary stolen from him by Hillary in 2016. They did the same thing to him in 2020. Bernie had his price. Say what you want about Cornel West. He can't be bought. Ken in Beverly. Thanks for holding, Ken, and welcome.
Lifetime caller, first time, lifetime listener, first time caller.
Welcome, Ken. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm curious if you've ever considered the Cloward-Piven strategy and how it's playing out right now. The Cloward Piven, as I understand it, was published first in 1966 by two fellows, Cloward and Piven, and I believe they're sociologists, and they came up with a strategy on how to destroy the welfare system by overwhelming it, and then, in the ensuing chaos, guaranteeing a minimum income for lower income people. And the strategy today is playing out a little differently in that they're overwhelming the system with illegals. And I'm just curious what you thought of that.
Well, Ken, I've discussed Cloward Piven a few times, not often. I agree with you. Maybe I should have done it more. But for those listening, and Ken, I think you really have hit the nail on the head. You're absolutely correct. Cloward Piven was a strategy that was adopted by Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky looked at Cloward Piven and said, that's how we're going to bring down America. The Soviet Union won't be able to win this Cold War. And we're not going to be able to convince Americans to vote for socialism because it just won't appeal to a prosperous middle class society like the United States. It's just not going to fly. So we have to destroy America from within. And Saul Alinsky realized, to his credit, he was a genius, an evil genius. He was evil, but he was very smart man. And he said, no, we got to use the Cloward Piven strategy, which is to flood the system, overwhelm the system, crash the system. And Obama studied Alinsky. In many ways, Alinsky was Obama's mentor. So he was also Hillary's. Hillary was a huge Saul Alinsky acolyte. She studied Alinsky. She read everything he wrote. She met with Alinsky. She interviewed Alinsky. And of course, who's pulling the strings of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? It's Barack Hussein Obama and the people who control him. Those are the real oligarchs. That's the shadow government. These globalists who are really running the country. Kamala is a puppet. Biden is a puppet. In some ways, even Obama was a puppet. He has more influence than Biden and Kamala, but he's also a puppet. And the strategy is, you nailed it. What they did was they put a little twist on Cloward Piven. And they realized we're not going to win this by having, the underclass riot and loot and pillage and plunder and, drive businesses to the ground and hollow out urban areas, crash the middle class. And then eventually we're going to have universal income. That's what they really put everybody on welfare. What they realized was we can make America a third world country by importing the third world. And even a wealthy country like America can only absorb so many third world illegal aliens. Whatever that number is, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, eventually it's going to overwhelm and crash the entire system. And that's what we've really seen in Obama's third term. Biden's administration is Obama's third term. This was his move for the real transformation, or as he put it, the fundamental transformation of America. And as he lays out in his memoir, he's crystal clear about this. He wants America to become an anti-white, third world socialist country. And that's dreams of my father. And that was his Kenyan father, who railed against Europe, railed against America, railed against the West, railed against the white man in general. And that was Obama. That's always been Obama's ultimate dream. And that's why day one, the first thing Biden did was completely open up the border. He didn't just open it up. I mean, if you want, Ken, I can play the cuts. He literally said, come on down. He said, we're open. Everybody can come. Just come. And that's when they removed Remain in Mexico. They removed Section 42. They removed everything. And that just allowed millions and millions and millions to pour in. And then they've flown them all over the country strategically. They've put them all on welfare, food stamps, hotels, free meals, you name it. Kamala Harris now wants to give all of them amnesty, free health care, free education, free college tuition. This is Cloward Piven. This will break our economic back. And once you break our economic back, there'll be no middle class, no working class. Everybody becomes dependent on a check from the government. Game, set, match. Ken, thank you very much for that call. So the short answer is yes. This is Cloward Piven on steroids. 8:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, please, ladies and gentlemen, Kuhner Country, I just stand back for a second. Okay, I need you to hear what's now going to be said, because it's really chilling what is taking place in real time, right in front of our eyes. Kamala Harris, and don't take my word for it, go on her official website for president. This is straight out of George Orwell's 1984. You want to talk about censorship, out and out censorship, manipulation, deception. Look at how they are completely scrubbing away, sanitizing her past. You go on her website, you would have no idea about Berkeley, California. You would have no idea that she came from a very privileged home. That her mother, in fact, was one of the leading breast cancer research scientists in North America. And that she made, I'm not complaining, I'm just stating a fact, that she made an incredibly, a very good salary, a very lavish salary. They don't mention that she spent years in high school in Montreal, Canada, in Westmount, which is the richest area code, the wealthiest area code, not just in Montreal, not just in the province of Quebec, in the entire country. Westmount. That's like Malibu or Beverly Hills or here in Massachusetts, I don't know, Wellesley or Brookline. It's, Montecito. No, you're completely right. You're completely right, Mike. It's one of the toniest, upper scale, rich zip codes you can possibly live in. She's now not even border czar. They're now saying she was never border czar. They're actually even now claiming it's misinformation, or let me do it in the Russian. Misinformatio. Disinformatio. Misinformation, disinformation were terms used by the Soviets. Those two terms were deliberately taken from the Soviet Union. They are Soviet communist terms. Look it up. Okay, it's Soviet vocabulary, terminology. Okay, KGB, in fact, invented it. So now it's misinformation or disinformation to say the fact, which is true. We all lived through it. She was in charge of the border. Who are we kidding? And now we have a massive scandal. Because I'm telling you, mark my words, you can take this to the bank. If Kamala Harris wins in November, by hook or by crook, you are going to see a censorship regime imposed upon this country, the likes of which you have never, ever seen before. And now we know, without a shadow of a doubt, we were censored under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We were censored. You were censored. Conservatives were censored. And that the Biden-Harris regime broke the law. They blatantly violated the First Amendment. In the Constitution of the United States, okay, look it up, please don't take my word for it. It explicitly states there's no ambiguity or doubt about it. The government, i.e. the federal government, cannot censor or suppress anyone's right to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, but I'm just going to stick to free speech and free expression. It is illegal. It is a crime. It is punishable by going to jail. In fact, Thomas Jefferson believed it was grounds for a revolution to overthrow the government if the government began to engage in such blatant violations of the First Amendment. It is the cornerstone. Free speech and free expression is the cornerstone of a free society. It's the cornerstone, the foundation of our constitutional republic. Without free speech and free expression, you cannot hold the government accountable. You cannot express your right to defend your freedoms and liberties without freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is everything in a constitutional republic, and if you want to throw in democracy, it is everything in a democracy. They got caught. Biden and Harris got caught. And I want to give a big hat tip to Jim Jordan and his House committee, Judiciary Committee, because they got the smoking gun emails. Now listen to this. They've got the emails, they got the text messages, they got the irrefutable proof and evidence that during the COVID pandemic and before that, remember the Hunter Biden laptop story that the New York Post broke. And it was that Hunter Biden laptop story that showed through tens of thousands of emails that the Biden crime family was engaged in international influence peddling and corruption and bribery. And as someone mentioned earlier in this show, you can look up the polls. 20% of Americans, 19 to be specific, said had they known about the contents of the Hunter Biden laptop, they would have voted for either Donald Trump or they would not have voted for Joe Biden. Donald Trump would be completing his second term as you and I speak right now. It was direct election interference when they suppressed that story. You want to talk about election theft? The Hunter Biden story alone shows that they stole the election. They got the emails. They got the text messages. They got it all. And so Mark Zuckerberg, who is the CEO of Meta, M-E-T-A, which is the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, sent an open letter to Congress. This should be the biggest story in the world right now. How this is being ignored by the media is to their everlasting shame. Mark Zuckerberg, at the time, the CEO of Facebook and Instagram. In fact, he still is the CEO of Facebook and Instagram. But the point is, he wrote a letter in which he said, I was pressured by the Biden White House. I was pressured by White House officials, by Biden and Kamala Harris officials, and by senior Democrat officials to deliberately censor and suppress and take down stories that we knew were true and that also later turned out to be completely truthful and factual at the behest of the government and the behest of the Biden-Harris regime. And he said in particular on COVID-19, the pandemic, and on the Hunter Biden laptop. Now, very quickly, you need to hear this. According to Zuckerberg, and this is now under oath, this is on the penalty of perjury, Zuckerberg said the FBI, senior FBI officials acting on behalf of the Biden-Harris campaign contacted me directly and coerced me and pressured me and intimidated me into suppressing and censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story. They told us this was Russian disinformation and that by allowing the New York Post story to be spread on Facebook, also on Twitter, which Zuckerberg doesn't own, that was Jack Dorsey until he was bought up by Elon Musk, but they censored it on Twitter, they censored it on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google, they censored it everywhere. So the American people never really saw or heard about that story. That this was Russian disinformation coming straight from the FBI. And they told me, you better take it down. And according to Zuckerberg, to my eternal shame, I did. It turned out to be completely true. He further went on to say that during the COVID pandemic, people straight from the White House contacted him, pressured him, intimidated him, coerced him to take down information about, listen to this now, the vaccine, the jab, negative effects of the lockdowns, especially school closings and the effect it has on children, the efficacy or lack of it of masks. On the vaccine, by the way, that they were finding adverse effects, reactions, side effects in some cases, that this wasn't 100% effective and safe, that it wasn't true, that the government was lying. He said they forced us to take it all down. All of it. We censored RFK Jr. at their specific request. Alex Berenson at their specific request. Matt Taibbi at their specific request. Journalist after journalist after journalist after journalist. And he wrote in this letter saying, we violated our own content standards. We violated our own commitment to freedom of speech and open debate and open dialogue. We engaged in censorship at the behest of the federal government, and in particular, at the behest of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now, let me tell you two things, and then I want to go right back to the phone lines. Number one, where are the Republicans? This is not a scandal. This is not an ethical lapse. This isn't a bad policy or an egregious mistake. No, 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 no. This is a crime. It's black letter law. Joe Biden should be in jail. Kamala Harris should be in jail. At a minimum, they should be impeached and then put in jail. The Constitution is crystal clear. And just because you're using a third party to censor, it's still censorship. If you want to know technically, I'm telling you, look it up. It's the definition of fascism. Big government, big business, big labor, colluding, a corporatist state to suppress the rights and freedoms and liberties of individuals. That's really what we're witnessing in this country. Now, I'm not saying that Zuckerberg is some kind of a hero. He's not. Jordan caught him. The House Judiciary Committee caught him because he willingly collaborated at the time. He wasn't complaining. He wasn't pushing back. He wasn't fighting. No, he was cooperating with them. You want me to take down this guy? Sure. Okay, this post? Sure. I got censored on Facebook. I cannot tell you how many times it impacted me personally. I warned about the lockdowns. They censored me. I warned about the jab. They censored me. I warned about these mandates. They censored me. I tried to spread the story about the Hunter Biden laptop. They censored me. And so did millions of other Americans. And let me tell you, second point. And I'm going to play the cut. I know you believe me, but I want to play the cut. Josh Hawley began to build a case against Zuckerberg, Facebook, and the Biden-Harris regime. This was several years ago. He drags in DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Now, what Zuckerberg also admits is that the CIA was involved in the censorship. The FBI was involved in the censorship. The CDC was involved in the censorship. The National Institutes for Health under Fauci, that criminal, he was involved in this illegal censorship. but so was the Department of Health and Human Services. In fact, they had 3 special programs specifically designed to target Americans who criticized Biden or the Hunter Biden laptop, or who were exposing the lies about COVID and the government's response to COVID and the policies they were ramming down our throats. You know who oversaw those 3 programs? Alejandro Mayorkas. Listen now to this lying SOB. He's under oath. This is perjury. This is perjury. This is lying under oath. This is Hawley and Mayorkas on a hearing on censorship, November 2022. Roll cut 2A, Mike.
You are not pressuring the big tech companies to take down accounts. You are not meeting with them to ask them to censor on your behalf.
That is correct. We are not.
The federal government may not use private third parties to engage in activities that are unconstitutional. That's exactly what you and this administration are doing. You are leveraging private companies to carry out censorship on your behalf. It's dystopian, but worse than that, it's unconstitutional.
It's also false.
He lied. He lied. Mayorkas lied under oath. That's perjury, my friends. That's black letter law. That's perjury. That's perjury. Now, I know what many of you are saying, and I agree with you. Jeff. And what are the Republicans going to do about it? Who's got the cojones, Jeff? Forgive me, who's got the balls to stand up to these liars and criminals and say, you know what, buddy, you're going to jail. You know what, buddy, you just broke the law. You're going to get impeached and your ass is going to go behind bars. This is where we are right now. They got away with it then. They're going to try to get away with it again. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. This is what we're up against. Now, this is RFK Jr.'s point. If you want, I can play Nicole Shanahan, his VP. She did an interview on a left-wing liberal podcast. She says, I'm not a Trump Republican. I'm a woman of the left. I'm a woman of the left. I'm a progressive. I'm a liberal, lifelong liberal Democrat. But they engaged in censorship. It was illegal. It's authoritarian. I thought we were against authoritarianism. How could you vote for Kamala Harris in good conscience? Every liberal and progressive out there. How can, I know conservatives and constitutionalists as well, but she's talking from a left-wing perspective. She's saying, how can you? Look what they've done. Zuckerberg now says that this will never happen again. That he's ashamed of what he did. That when he looks back in retrospect, he violated every so-called principle he says he believes in, that Facebook supposedly champions and upholds, and that above all, he said the American people were denied the truth. They were denied the truth about Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and the Biden crime family, which would have given the election to Trump. And on COVID, he said it led to many deaths. Had people known about the adverse effects of the jab, many people would not have taken it. Had they known about the destructive effects of these lockdowns, especially closing schools, God knows how many suicides we could have prevented. Mental illness, anxiety, depression, stunting of our children's intellectual, educational development. In other words, the massive social devastation caused by this. Now, I don't believe him. I don't believe Zuckerbucks. I don't believe him. I personally think he got caught and he wants to avoid going to jail. And so he had to do a mea culpa because he knows very well that he engaged in blatant, illegal, unconstitutional criminal activity. This was and is a crime. In fact, it's one of the worst crimes in the Constitution. It's treason. As I said, it's grounds for Jefferson and others. They go, if the government engages in this, it's time to maybe think about a revolution. I think Zuckerberg is covering his rear end. But I want to ask you, It's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Do you believe Zuckerberg apologized and wrote his letter? It's a confessional letter. That he wrote his letter because he got caught. A, yes. B, no. In other words, is it because he got caught, or do you think he's had a genuine change of heart? That he really is sorry for what happened? I want to hear from you, Kuhner Country. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN as in National ER. You can also vote via X, our handle there, or my handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, KUHN as in National ER. You know my answer. I think it's A. I think the only reason why he admitted all of this, and it's a damning confessional, admission, is because they nailed him. They got the receipts, they got the emails, the paperwork, the paper trail, the text messages. They got him 6 ways to Sunday. But that's me. I want to hear from you. To me, the other issue here is this censorship regime. The big reason why, outside of children's health, the big reason why RFK Jr. and Nicole Shanahan and Tulsi Gabbard and so many, and maybe now Jill Stein, we shall see, but why there are so many Democrats who are going to cross over and vote for Trump is precisely this issue of freedom of speech. That freedom of speech is on the ballot in November. Trump says he will destroy, annihilate this entire censorship regime, blow it up to smithereens. Harris and Biden will not only continue it, but they will strengthen it, and it will get worse and worse and worse until there is no freedom of speech left. So my question now to you, on top of everything else, is this election now about restoring freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and the Constitution? I say yes. What do you say? 9:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, super quick because the lines are jammed. Listen now to Greg Jarrett on Fox News, because I think he really lays out the case against Zuckerberg and the case against the Biden-Harris regime and what they did. Roll cut 1C. Mike.
He spent years denying his censorship, refusing to cough up incriminating documents. He knew the truth. He concealed it. And he came clean only because he was forced to do so by congressional threat. So, now he's suddenly contrite. That's like a bank robber who's only sorry because he got caught. And Zuckerberg doesn't even have the guts to accept responsibility. Instead, he blames, pressure from the Biden allies. Think about what Facebook and other social media sites did. They helped throw a presidential election by suppressing the laptop story, peddling it as Russian disinformation. They knew it wasn't. They blacklisted people.
Bingo. I mean, he's right. I was blacklisted. Many of you were blacklisted. And they did throw a presidential election. In fact, as many of you are pointing out on the text line and messaging me and emailing me, Jeff, what about the elephant in the room, the stolen 2020 election? Remember that, how they censored that one? Any evidence. They suppressed that. And who do you think pressured them? The White House, Department of Health and Human Services, DHS, FBI, CIA. I mean, it's there. I mean, it's just irrefutable. And Sandy made a really good point to me. She said, Jeff, compare Zuckerberg and Elon's predecessor, Jack Dorsey, who used to own Twitter. Compare him to Elon Musk. Look, it's night and day. I'm not saying Elon's perfect. I'm not saying I agree with him on everything. Transhumanism, there's many issues I profoundly disagree with him on. But come on. Elon Musk is an American. Elon Musk believes in the Bill of Rights. Elon Musk believes in the First Amendment. Say what you want. Now, look, I know I'm active on X. I've never been censored under Elon. Whatever I say, it gets posted, and usually people react to it and they send it around, and it's really become a free, or mostly a free speech zone to have open discourse. And if you disagree with something, the answer to bad speech is good speech. It's not censorship. One more, and then I want to go to the phone lines. And listen now, in particular, about Greg Jarrett saying, look what they did on all this vital information about COVID. And this is coming from the party that says they want to defend democracy as they openly embrace censorship? Roll cut 1D, Mike.
On COVID and other important issues, they muzzled valuable information whenever the Biden administration demanded it. You're not allowed to disagree with Joe Biden. So in concert, they tore up the First Amendment. And yet, isn't it interesting, Democrats claim that Trump is a threat to democracy. They're the real threat. And Zuckerberg's confession belatedly proves it.
There's no question. There's no question. They destroyed the First Amendment. They ripped it to pieces. They violated it. It's a crime. It's illegal. Now, we know this. And not only, and by the way, just so you know, in response, the White House sent out a response to Zuckerberg's confessional letter. This smoking gun letter. It's a smoking gun. It's game, set, match. It's conclusive now proof that everything that we said was right, and the Democrats were lying, and now they've been caught censoring. They said, they doubled down. They said, no, social media should constantly clamp down on so-called misinformation and disinformation. Well, who decides what's misinformation and disinformation? Aha, they do. Just like the fascists, just like the communists, just like any other authoritarian dictatorship, they decide what's true and what's not true. Well, who died and made them God? So they're still supporting censorship. And in fact, Harris has said she's going to do more censoring should she win in November. And Trump is the threat to democracy? Who's the man that stands for the First Amendment? Trump. Who's the man that stands for free speech? Trump. Who's the man that stands for free expression? Trump. Who's the one man that stands for free, open debate? Trump. Who's pushing cancel culture? Harris. Who wants censorship? Harris. Who wants suppression of different views? Harris. Now, let me tell you what it's going to come to. People now in this country are getting arrested. They're getting arrested. And they're being threatened with going to jail simply for speaking out. Simply for freedom of speech. You're going to say, come on, Jeff, whoa, Jeff, hey, take it easy. In Arizona, in the city of Surprise, like an actual, surprise. In Surprise, Arizona, a woman, 32 years old, Rebecca Massey, Massie, look this up, please, don't take my word for it, went to a city council meeting where the mayor of that city, who, by the way, is a Republican, was chairing the meeting. I've got the audio next. You're going to ask yourself, is this America or is this East Germany? That, your calls next. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare. I don't want you to take my word for it, because you're not going to believe it. When I first saw this story, actually it was sent to me by a friend. It was on Libs of TikTok. And I saw the full 5-minute exchange between this woman, 32 years old, Rebecca Massey. She lives in Surprise, Arizona. She was at a city council meeting. It's indoors. The mayor, I believe his name is Gus Hall. He's a Republican. Okay, one of these rhino establishment Republicans. And I couldn't believe it. I said, no, there's got to be some kind of context that I'm missing. There's got to be something. There's some aspect of this I must have wrong. So I started to look into the local media reports. And of course, no, it's naked censorship. Now, I'm going to play it for you, the audio, and you tell me. So let me just set it up for you. Her name again is Massey, Rebecca Massey. Please research this yourself. Massie. She's 32 years old, as I said. Her 10-year-old daughter is with her. Now, she's a bit of a citizen activist, which is fine. It's a free country. That's her right. So she's been filing numerous FOIA requests. And really, the issue that she has is the city attorney. She doesn't like the city attorney. She thinks the city attorney's not doing a very good job and that he's being overpaid. And apparently the city attorney got a raise, which she feels is an unjustified raise. Oh, she's a taxpayer. She has the right to voice her opinion. It's a 5-minute Q&A, a commentary, a comment period. Now, to me, this is America. You're the city council. You're the mayor. You have an open Q&A, comment period. Let the citizens come and voice their opinions. You agree, you disagree, you like, you don't like. That's not your business. It's their turn, the taxpayers' turn, to voice their views and you to listen. And if you want, ask questions or engage or go back and forth, but let the person talk. And they have every right to question a city attorney or the effectiveness of the performance of a city attorney. Why? Because the taxpayers are paying that person's salary, for God's sake. 1 + 1 = 2. It's obvious. And you have a right to an opinion whether you think that city attorney's doing a good job. This is America. It's called freedom. Listen to the exchange. I've given you the whole context. Listen now to the exchange. You tell me if fascism now is not here in America. Roll cut 12, Mike.
You're violating my First Amendment rights.
This is what you agreed to when you first speaking. This is the form.
It is unconstitutional, Mayor Hall.
Well, it's not unconstitutional.
It is.
And if you're
the Supreme Court has upheld. I could get up here and I could swear at you for 3 straight minutes, and it is protected speech by the Supreme Court. It is.
No, you can't.
Why don't you look at case law?
No, you can't.
I can.
So if you want to be
also the chair is engaged in debate. So point of order.
Do you want to be escorted out of here? Do you want to be escorted out of here?
You're violating my First Amendment rights.
Talking.
You are violating my First Amendment rights.
That's your opinion.
It's not a matter of opinion.
Do you want to be escorted out, Miss Massey? Because that's what's going to happen.
Okay, so now he's that's the mayor. Now, he keeps telling her, you can't criticize the city lawyer. Because apparently they claim on the back of a form that you check when you come into this comment period, it says you can't make any critical comments of the city. Listen to this, of the city council members, of the mayor, or of anybody on the payroll of the city council. And of course, this woman is completely right. This is unconstitutional. What are you, crazy? If I want to criticize you, I have every right to. You're the mayor. What, I can't criticize City Hall now? And he's like, well, no, you can't. Read the back of the form. Read the back of the form. So she's saying, look, I can go F you if I want to for 3 straight minutes. And I have the right to do that. She's completely right. The Supreme Court has already ruled on this. This SOB. So now he's threatening her. You want escorted means he's going to call the police and they're going to arrest her. Listen to what happens next. This is unbelievable. Roll cut 12A. Mike.
Chief, could you have somebody come down here and escort Ms. Massey out?
Really? Is that necessary?
Yes, I
In
think
front
it
of my
is.
10-year-old daughter, you're going to escort me
That's
out
fine.
for expressing my
She
First
can go
Amendment
with you.
rights.
She can go with you.
I'm not leaving.
Well,
I'm expressing my first. Do not touch me. Do not put your hands on me.
You just step out with me.
Do not put your hands on me.
Come on out.
Do not put your hands on me.
Come out with me now before you get arrested. Do you understand?
Are you detaining me?
Yes.
Why am I being detained? Under what charges? Under what charges?
This is not
okay, so
Hey, I have personal property.
Hold on.
You cannot touch me.
yeah, she can go out there. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into E-session.
You son of a... Oh, I almost said it. You piece of you-know-what. Are you kidding me? Really, are you kidding me? Nobody on that city council got up and said, what are you doing? It's an American citizen. What the hell has she done that deserves her? So they arrested her for criminal trespassing and for resisting arrest. For resisting arrest. Now, I'm telling you, they dragged this poor woman out. And you see him, well, you can take your daughter with you. She's like, what? You're going to arrest me in front of my 10-year-old kid for what? For voicing my opinion in front of City Hall? And nobody had the good sense. This is what I find chilling. Say, hey, whoa. This is America. Whoa. Hey, look, it's 3 minutes. Let her get whatever she wants to get off her chest. She's got the right to her opinion. What the hell's wrong with you? If she wants to criticize me, you, the city lawyer, I don't know, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Jeff Kuhner, I don't care. I don't care. Pick your, I don't care. The governor of Arizona, I don't care. She could criticize whoever she wants. It's a free country, man. They hauled her away like the Gestapo. Like the Gestapo or like the Stasi in East Germany. Nothing. Local media reported on it. There was no outrage. It's only now become a story because of libs of TikTok. Oh, and I want to give Gateway Pundit a big hat tip. They had the guts to report on this. Where's Fox News? Where's CNN? Where's MSNBC? This should be a national story. By the way, where's the state media in Arizona? Those liberal frauds. Yes, in Surprise, in the local media, they covered it. They're like, wow, look at this. Somebody just got kicked out for nothing. For just voicing their opinion. Literally, that's it. Violating speech, censoring people, now arresting people in the name of censorship is now becoming accepted in the United States. Now, I'm telling you, what you just heard now is the future under Kamala Harris. That's why RFK is backing Trump. That's why Nicole Shanahan is backing Trump. That's why Tulsi Gabbard is backing Trump. That's why a green leftist like Jill Stein says, I may have to back Trump. That's why Cornel West is saying, I can't vote for Kamala Harris. What are you, nuts? Look, what are you guys, on drugs? Bernie in Vermont. Thanks for holding, Bernie, and welcome.
Jeff, it's your good friend Bernie Sanders.
Bernie! How are you, Bernie?
I'm doing great, Jeff. I'm doing great. A couple things. First of all, Jeff, arresting people who disagree with, the town hall statements. We've been doing that in Vermont for a long time, Jeff. But in your words, Jeff, let that go. I'm calling for a different reason, Jeff. You said earlier I took a payout. That I didn't. Okay, let me tell you what happened. I was offered a top-notch position. If I let the Hildebeest be the nominee in 2016, I was promised a position bigger than vice president, bigger than a cabinet seat. They said that I would be the grand poobah of the People's Republic of Cambridge.
Bernie, we always love it when you call in, my friend, and I want you to know I'm still feeling the burn. Carlos, I have NB on the board. What does NB stand for? New Brunswick? Okay, so New Balance, New Bedford, or New Brunswick? I'm guessing New Bedford. Carlos in New Bedford. I mean, guys, would it kill you to spell it out? Carlos, go ahead.
Yes, it's New Bedford, not New Brunswick or New Britain or anything like that. So, Jeff, I wanted to bring down your blood pressure, but the other guy just did it. So, you know that there's going to be a new musical coming out. It's going to be with Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Tiny Tim, China Tim, and the musical's going to be called The Copycats. Okay, and in the background you're going to have the song by David Bowie playing China Girl. And it's going to be sponsored by Taco Bell.
Best audience in the business. 617-266-6868. More with your calls. Next. And I'm the extremist. Yeah. According to all these crazy moonbats and liberals, I'm the extremist. 9:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Paul in the great state of New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Paul, and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. Jeff, you've been really on a roll this past 40 minutes. It was a pleasure listening to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
A guy just got awarded a $250,000 for giving the cop a finger, and the cop arrested him for that, and that's freedom of speech, you know. So getting to walls, right? Because they need to keep all of us workers in to pay for all of their illegal ballots. You know, that's what it comes down to, you know. So that's why they're for the walls now, you know. Just amazing. It's communism against freedom. And it took Musk to buy Twitter, turn it into X, so that we could see the truth for what it is. You know, it's these people are crazy, and I hope you keep playing that when Kamala was DA, you know, just the bile in her voice when she's like, with a swipe of my pen, I can destroy your life if you're innocent or whatever. By the time I'm done with you, your life is destroyed. And that's what these people are. They're just evil commies, and that's what they are.
Well, you can tell Paul, you're dead on. They're corrupted by power. They live for power. They're consumed with power. And the more power we give them, the more miserable and oppressive they're going to make our lives. And that's why we have to defeat them in November. And I think you phrased it. If Trump's people are listening, the way you phrased it is the way I would phrase the whole election. This is freedom versus communism. Period. That's what the race comes down to. Freedom versus communism. Take your pick. Paul, thank you very much for that call. Dave in the great state of Vermont. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Hey, your monologue got me going there a little bit, but I like that opening on one of the segments here, a couple about the White House snow, cocaine. Right now, on listening to your program, it's dropped by my provider about every 15 minutes to 30 minutes. It's X'd out, and it tells me it's a fault of my provider, which is T-Mobile. So they're censoring you. Pretty good. And about the monologue as well, along with that, they say, what's the problem? Where are the Republicans and everything? Well, that old statement's still true. There are no Republicans in the Democrat Party, but in the Republican Party, most of them are Democrats. And the other thing I was going to say, Joe Biden must have been polishing up Kamala there on the art of plagiarism. Because if she's going to start saying that the wall is her thing, I'm wondering what's going to come up next. Is she going to say she's going to attack Big Ag, or is she going to go along with dropping the Department of Education and putting it back in the states, or will we attack Big Pharma, or how about single-payer system? Which will be the next one?
Well, Dave, I think she's going to say no. She's going to bring peace to Ukraine and Russia. You know, Trump said he'll do it before if he wins in November. He says before I'm even inaugurated, I'll have peace between Russia and Ukraine. She's going to come on and say, no, I'll do it in a week. You're right. It's like, Biden plagiarized that speech, that infamous speech from Neil Kinnock. He was then the Labour Party leader in Great Britain. And he was so stupid, he plagiarized it word for word for word for word. And that's how he got caught. And she's taking a page from Biden's playbook. She's plagiarizing all of Trump's policies. Dave, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, I've seen people plagiarize one policy or two policies or a speech, but I've never seen this. So, Dave, it shows you they have nothing. She is nothing. They have nothing. And Trump's going to puncture that balloon and they're going to go crashing down. This campaign has got nothing to offer. And look, I'm telling you, I can't wait for September 10. To me, September 10 for Kamala is going to be D-Day. And it's going to be the end of her campaign, and it's going to be the end of the Democrats for this election. So we'll find out, but my money is on Trump. And I think now he's going to win, and I think he's going to win in a landslide. Dave, thank you very much for that call. This is the worst campaign I've ever seen. Really. I know she's hiding. I know the media's helping her. I know they got fake polls. But when all you're doing is plagiarizing and copycatting what your opponent is saying, come on. The public is going to figure this out and say she's an obvious fraud and a grifter and a liar. This is not going to, look, it may play well with the Moonbats, but with independents, suburban voters, suburban women, they're going to look at this and say, no, she's not fit to be president of the United States. It's obvious. Thomas in the great state of Florida, the Freedom State. Thomas, I've got about a minute and a half. The floor is yours. Go.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Thomas.
That woman you spoke of in Arizona in a city council meeting, we got that going on down here in Sebastian, Florida. You don't get a say unless, and you got your 3 minutes and you say anything disparaging to any one of those members, the mayor steps in and he threatens to remove you, and then you got a bunch of people sitting around and they don't defend you when they haul your butt out the door. And waste management was a big vote. The federal government gives these people for the town of the city council these grants. They don't tell us whether the strings attached, what the grants are about. And then when we get probed too deeply, they threaten to remove you from the chamber.
Incredible.
This is what...
Look, Thomas, I'm a big believer in the First Amendment. You know that, right? But look, I can maybe understand no swearing. I can understand that. Where they say, hey, look, come on, say what you want to say. Like Thomas, you want to complain. But don't use the F-bomb. We have kids here. It's a family environment. Please just keep out the obscenities. Okay, I think you should be allowed to swear, but let that go. Okay, that I could understand. But just because you're criticizing city officials, suddenly they have the right to arrest you and kick you out? Thomas, it's fascism. It's fascism. And if we don't speak out, it's going to take over our entire country. I don't know where the time went. I got to go. Tomorrow, by the way, Kamala does her first interview on CNN, but with Tiananmen Tim beside her. Bye-bye.